Well, both Cosatu and the ANC today say that the DA's opposition to employment equity regulations is a crude racial politics which misrepresents the proposed changes. The DA and the business group Sakeliga say the regulations will disenfranchise coloured and Indian workers in South Africa. Sakeliga also preparing to go to court against the proposals. Our reporter Govan WHittles joins us now. Govan, good afternoon to you. What exactly are these regulations proposing?
Well, the regulations propose sectorial determinations for which percentage of a race group should be employed in each industry. There are essentially national proposals in the Employment Equity Act regulations, which the Department of Labour says reflects the demographics of South Africa accurately, and then it kind of cascades down to the provinces, the regions, and that would also take into account the representativity of racial groups in specific industry. For instance, thinking about the kind of racial dynamics in the farming sector, and then thinking about the racial dynamics in the mining sector or in retail, and then adjusting the regulations to suit that, also considering the dominance of racial groups in KwaZulu-Natal versus the Western Cape or the Northern Cape, and in Gauteng. And in that respect, the Department of Labour is saying that these proposed regulations cater and are flexible towards the different diversity or the diversity within the different sectors. The DA says the fact that they propose 1% representation of, for instance, classified coloured people in the Northwest in Limpopo means that that's a disenfranchisement. But of course, this only applies to companies that have a turnover of more than R1 million a year and have more than 50 employees. If you're not making that per year, you're not obliged to declare the employment equity statistics within your company. If you break your company up into branches, which have less than 50 employees at each branch, you're also not obliged to declare it. And then the kicker here, these proposed regulations are not going to be enforced through a fine or through the deregistration of your company. They're just recommendations that the Department of Labour believes each of the companies in South Africa should follow. Nevertheless, there's strong opposition and an impending legal challenge. The President assented to the Employment Equity Act earlier this year. Already then, Solidarity says it was preparing for the mother of all legal battles up to the Constitutional Court. The DA will join them. The Department of Labour's Director General says it welcomes any legal challenge. It's already responded to questions to the International Labour Organization. So what we have here is two sides teed up for a battle in the courts. It looks like it's going to happen.
There's ruling after ruling on affirmative action and employment equity in the Constitutional Court. If I remember correctly, and I say this open to correction by people who know more than I do, in the past they've said hard quotas are a no-no. I think that was the last finding, although there have been so many cases on this. It's election season, Govan. I don't need to remind you that. Lots of things for different parties and different organizations representing different constituencies to say about this.
Indeed, and what's interesting within the last 24 hours has been the statement by the DA, which came out the gate first, saying that these are crude racial politics. This is crude racial politics being used by the Department of Labour to disenfranchise coloured and Indian workers. That was immediately responded to by Cosatu and the ANC, which said that the DA was using these regulations, which are proposals open to comment until the end of the month, to try and sort of coalesce coloured and Indian voters into a grouping which would oppose the Department of Labour, i.e. the ANC-led government, and then thereby misrepresenting what the government seeks to do here. The Cosatu and the ANC are pointing at the DA's opposition as a red herring, which misrepresents the regulations in the entirety, but which is also being used to galvanize support in a constituency where the DA seems to be struggling to maintain its support because of opposition by smaller parties. And at the same time, the ANC in Cosatu hoping to use this to demonstrate its commitment to providing opportunities to broadly classified black people in South Africa, while also making sure that it doesn't disenfranchise small to medium business owners who now don't have to declare those employment equity targets or whether they've been met in their businesses.
Govan WHittles, lots more Latin, lots more work for the lawyers to come, I suspect. Thank you very much.